All right, folks. To recap from last week's video, I went over the basics of getting started with the with our current project, the Sanibel Island ad. As you can see here, what I've done is I've saved the basic setup and just called it the Sanibel Island ad template. Okay, and once I start working on this, I'm going to rename it and so I always have this template and I can start over again and again and again if I want to. And that's something that I want you to keep in mind. When you're just starting with this ad, feel free to, if you do one design and it's like, yeah, okay, learn some things. But, if you want to try something different, try something new, that's fine too. There's nothing wrong with having a few different options to choose from. And that's what I'm going to do here. I had created a design last week where it said, Sanibel Island up through here, and then it was kind of a swirling sort of aerial photo, and then had the text, distributed throughout the thing. And that was okay, but I think I wanted to try something different this time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a tool that we use in Graphic Design 1, and the graphic designers just basically use quite a bit, and that's the Fibonacci spiral. Now, I've got that on a file folder on my computer here, and I'm just going to place that. I'll also be posting this on the Moodle page, so if you want to use it, you can. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on place. It's an EPS, so it's so I need to place it instead of like try and open. If I were to try and open it, would the program would look for a InDesign file, and it's not what it is. So this is an EPS right here, and it's pretty rough looking. But here's the deal: it's not going to be visible in the final product. Okay, now so this is your golden ratio vector. Okay, it consists of a number of circles and all that. And what this does, if you follow this path along here, it allows the eye, it creates a path for the eye. Okay, and so if you stick to that, it'll actually work pretty well. So I'm going to tilt this around like so, get it a little more straight there. Okay. Like I said, it's a little rough. The sizing is not exactly right, but that's okay because it's something we're going to get rid of eventually anyway. I'm just using it as a guideline. All right, I'm going to take my direct select tool now and click on this so I can actually resize the thing itself and move it a little bit so I have a better idea of what I want to do. Notice that it's I need to make this just a little bit bigger. I can do that by pulling down the anchor points. And now let's click back on this. And I'm going to give that a little. Actually, I could just shore that up a little bit. There. Okay. Oh, that's probably good enough right there. Now, while I'm at it, I think what I'm going to do here is, I'll tilt that just a touch. I'm going to take the opacity down on this while it's still selected because it's not something that I'm going to want to have be terribly visible anyway. Like I said, it's just a guideline. Okay, so there. Now I can barely see the thing, and that's fine. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to have the focal point right in this area here. Okay, and maybe have something leading the eye this way. Okay, now here's the thing about the Fibonacci spiral. You can turn it any way that you want. Okay, as a matter of fact, if this isn't working, what I could do, I'll just double click on it. If you decide your focal point, you want to have it, let's say, over here instead of over here, just double click on it and object transform. Let's see, we'll do a share rotate. Let's do a flip horizontal. Oh, and it moved out of frame, but that's okay. Just grab it and drag it back over. And there we go. So you can take this Fibonacci spiral thing and flip it around any which way that you want. It's just a way of dividing up the space and figuring out how to draw the eye across a page. Okay? All right. Okay, so there's that. Now that thing, as a matter of fact, we can even take that and object, we'll just lock that. Okay, that way we won't click on it by mistake or anything like that. Okay, all right. Now let's start placing some stuff. Now, first off, I want to have the eye follow along this path here. So I'm going to take a photograph that I'd found earlier, and I'm gonna place that. But let's see. First, I need to put something, create a frame to put it in. So I've got my my rectangle frame tool here. I'm gonna select that, and I'm gonna just make a frame just by going right across the page itself. Now remember, this line, this red line that was outside of the box, that's now been covered up by my frame, which is a blue line, that's my bleed. Remember, you want that bleed if you're going to have a photo that runs off the page. Okay, now let's go ahead and find something to place inside of it. In the past week, I've done a little more digging online and found some pretty good pictures. I like this one right here of a stork. It actually is pretty nice. It's pretty calm, pretty peaceful. I think that might work as a good sort of background graphic. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And as you can see, it's huge. Okay, I'm zooming out here. And I'm going to go ahead and double click on that so I can resize it. So I'm going to hold down my shift key to constrain the proportions while I resize the whole thing. Still really huge. This is another photo that came from Unsplash, which I showed you guys the other week. Unsplash is pretty awesome. It's got a lot of really great photos. As you can see, I'm placing this stork pretty much along the line of that spiral. Okay, notice that it's facing this way, which is going to be toward the focal point, which would be right about in here. Okay, and if you want to, you can always slide this over and make sure. Okay, how's this lining up? Let's see. I'll move him up a little bit. See, that's where my focal point is going to be. So his beak's almost pointing right directly at it, and slide him over. Something like that. Got to make sure we're beyond the bleed. Okay, so there's a pretty good graphic right there. Okay, and now eventually what I can do too is if I want to take the opacity down on this, I can, or I can simply use text blocks for the copy or the text. It's going to be through here. Okay, but for the time being, I think that's going to work. So I'm just going to click on that, and I'm going to lock that right now as well. Okay, the reason I'm doing all this locking is so I don't actually accidentally click on something that I don't want to, and get things all out of whack. Okay, so that's actually a really nice piece. The stork is facing the right direction. I've got a nice sort of band of sort of singular color down here that will allow me to put in like the some information or like the web address or something like that, and I can have the focal point be right here. So the question is, what should the focal point be? I think in this case what I might do is I think I'm going to create a circular graphic and have the text wrap around it. Not actually wrap around it, but sort of I'm going to type along a path. Okay, so let's go ahead and set that up. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click on my rectangle tool, but I'm going to hold it down so I can click on my ellipse frame tool. Now I'm going to hold down my shift key while I do this to constrain it and make it into a circle. Okay, there's my circle right there. I might have to make it a little bit smaller so it doesn't conflict with everything else that I want to put in here. Maybe something like that. That will probably work. All right. Now, I'm thinking about the photos that we have available, and this has a nice kind of this graphic has a nice kind of golden brown quality to it. And I want to think of complementary colors. So I'm thinking of the one of the photos that I used last week, which is very blue. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use one of those. So let's go ahead and place that. So I'm going to click on place again, and yeah, this picture of the entire island, that one's pretty good. The rest, some of the others here are quite blue as well, but it's basically the same thing. You know, a lot of pictures of birds and stuff like that. So I'll go ahead and click on that, and we'll place that. And of course, it's going to be huge again. So this is another situation where we're going to have to double click on it and zoom way out. Yeah, to see how big this thing is. And we'll just take it right down just by taking the corners and zip. Okay. All right, let's zoom back in a little bit so we can see what we're actually doing. Let's see, let's move this down a little bit. Make it a little bit smaller. Yeah, something like that'll work. Okay. So that's going to be our focal point right there. Now, here's the thing too. If you want to add you know, something more to it, like a bit of a stroke or something like that, you can do that here. I'll just we're still on essentials right here. So over here you've got your stroke options. So you can go like, you know, 1 point stroke or something like that. You know, it's well, you can't really see that. Oh, because it's blue. No wonder. Let's bring that to the foreground. Uh, 4 point stroke, something like that. You know, if you wanted to, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm wild about that color. You know, while we're at it here, let's go ahead and switch from essentials to, let's go with typography. Let's look at that workspace. Okay. And now I can actually, I've got a more convenient stroke thing here. I can make my stroke black, you know, if I want to, or something like that. And actually, if I want to change the kind of stroke that I want as well, I could do that. Right now, it's just a solid thing, but we could go with like a thick and a thin or a triple. And let's see. Oh, and with the redundancy that we have, you can also make it bigger or bigger still, whatever you want to. Okay, so thick, thick, uh, thick, thin, thick. If you just want to play around with these to see what's available, you can go ahead and do that. Oh, I kind of like that. That is that's the thick, thin. It almost makes it look like some sort of portal. So let's go ahead and make that just a little bit bigger. Not too much bigger. Whoops. There we go. Something like that. Okay, that looks kind of cool. I like that. Or let's see. Yeah, that's better. That's better still. Okay. So we've got a little bit of a, you know, unique sort of frame going on there, which is kind of cool. I kind of like that. Um, Now let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and type on a path. I'm not going to type on this actual path because I think it would get it a little too it'd be too easy to mess up. Okay, so I'm going to grab this. And this that may sound a little strange, but I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it. So I've got a duplicate right here. Now what I'm going to do though, I'm not going to actually use this thing again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my photo here and I'm going to delete that. And then as far as my frame is concerned, okay, this double line thing, you know, I'm going to get rid of that. Okay. What I was mainly trying to do was just make sure that I had a circle that was the exact same size as the one that I just created. Okay, and that's a pretty easy way to do it. So I've got this path here that I can use to kind of stack up on top of this thing here. I didn't lock this because I may need to move it around a little bit once I add the text. All right, so typing on a path. Typing on a path is kind of a hinky thing at times, but it's you know it can be you know it can be kind of a job, but it's you know not really that big of a deal. It's just a little it's really easy to click on something incorrectly. Let's just put it that way. I do it quite a bit. All right. So anyway, the type on a path thing. We've got our path selected here, and underneath our type tool, if you hold it down, is type on a path tool. So what you do is you take this little tool, type on the path tool, and you just click on a path. There we go. All right. And then you've got your cursor that will show up, and it'll be on that path. Now we're ready to start typing. So let's go ahead and figure out a character. I'm going to go with a bigger font and something that's, you know, we've got this dual line thing. Let's try out 60s pop. We'll go with a different kind of a feel here. And I'm going to go ahead and set it at about 36 and see what that does. So let's go ahead and type Sanibel. Okay. That is probably not going to be big enough. So I'm just going to select that and let's make it a little bit bigger still. Sanibel. Okay. I kind of like that. I'm not sure if that font's going to work. Let's scroll over some different things and see what we've got. Actually, it might be easier to scroll if I'm looking at this thing. Type font. There we go. Actually, you know what? Let's move this thing for the time being. Let's move it over here so I can actually. Oops. So I can actually see what's being changed. So font. Let's 60s pop. It's pretty cool, but might be a little bit too crazy. Let's try something that's got that same kind of feel, but a little toned down. Got a lot of novelty fonts here. Some are pretty cool. Some are a little bit too crazy. And that's something you want to be very aware of is readability, especially when it is if you're doing text. You never want to use display text for body copy. Okay, body copy is the you know, large blocks of text, you know, like paragraphs. I used to work at a newspaper, so I use the term copy quite a bit. Let's try this monotone thing. Okay, I like that. All right. Now, let's go ahead and I'm going to grab this and I'm going to rotate this a little bit so that I can, this will be about right. That's about even. That looks about right. Okay. Okay. Now, now what I need to do is I need to put in the word island. Now, if I type in the word island, it's going to be upside down here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, well, before I do that, I think I'm going to change this this up a little bit. Let's see. Let's right now it's just your basic blank text. Let's see what that looks like. Like that. Is that going to be readable? Nearly. Now, I could probably dodge and burn a little bit behind that, but we'll see. I'm also going to need to space things out a little bit. All right. Or I could just change the color entirely to make it pop out a little bit more. Okay, so we've got Sanibel. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to paste just again to keep the circles the same size. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's see, we'll type the word island. Okay, except this time what we're going to do is we're going to change things up a little bit. Okay, so okay, so let's play around with this. I'm going to resize this a little bit. And what I'm keeping an eye toward is actually the cap line of the word Sanibel. So, as a matter of fact, let's just move this up here and see how they compare. Okay, that's getting there. Okay, you can see, let's see, right about, that's looking just about right. Okay, now let's move this back down. And what we're going to do is we're going to flip this. All right, so while this is selected, and not that, we'll go up to type and type on a path options. And what we're going to do is we're going to just flip that. Okay, now you can see that it completely flipped it over, but also moved this on the inside of the circle. So what we can do is we'll change the, let's see, it's from path to center. Let's try that centered right about there. That looks about right. I think if we go with ascenders, it's going to be way too, yeah, that's way too far. So I'll go with center, and let's rotate this around. Click OK. We'll rotate this so it's on the bottom. There. It's a little bit larger. A little bit larger still. Okay. Now, you'll notice that my copy here is at a little bit of an angle, and I kind of like that. Yeah, I do. I sort of like that. So it's not just straight up and down. As a matter of fact, I could probably do it a little bit more. Take this and tilt this a little bit more, and this one a little bit more. Just keep it kind of a fun sort of a feel. I really don't care for stuffy sort of advertising. It's just a personal preference of mine, so that's not too bad. I could also play around with the word spacing a little bit because this is spaced out a little bit more than this. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that right now. It's metrics. Let's say optical. That's a little bit better. Um, we could also um, do it this way here, like that. That looks a little more like it should. Okay, and let's adjust this just a touch. There. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to grab both of these, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to group those. Okay. That way I'm not going to grab one and not the other by mistake. Let's move this in here and see what we got. Okay. That works pretty well. Now I can just actually need to make this just a little bit smaller and have that line up. Something like that. Okay. Make it just a touch smaller here so it lines up. So I wanted the text to lay right on the circle to make it just a little bit bigger. Went a little too far. Sanibel Island. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Now, the only thing about that though is the color's not quite working. The white's a little too light. So, we could, or whoops. So we could, maybe, I don't know, place it down here. No, that wouldn't work because this has got our focal point right here. So let's go ahead and try something different. Um, let's go ahead. Let's put this back where it was. This is what happens when you're creating as you go. There. That's basically Sparrow. There. Got them both. Okay. Let's go ahead and see if we can add some effects that might make it stand out a little more. So let's see. Let's go with effects. What do we got? Well, we can try a drop shadow. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, that's kind of cool. Now, you notice when I clicked on effects, we've got a whole bunch of effects that showed up. Okay, and if you want to, you can go ahead and click through these and see what they do. They're really similar to the ones that you would have in Adobe Illustrator. Okay, but you can also, if you don't find something else that you like, you can also adjust the settings on the drop shadow that I initially picked. Okay, so there's drop shadow, there's inner shadow. Now it doesn't work at all. Outer glow, inner glow. Okay, bevel and emboss, satin, basic feather, which makes it disappear, directional feather, and gradient feather. So the gradient feather makes things fade off, on one side or the other. So we don't really want that. I think our best bet right here is drop shadow. Okay. Um, Now, if you click on the actual drop shadow, it'll have the drop shadow features right here. Now, our blending mode is multiply. You can click on normal, or just go through these and see what they do. Overlay, soft light, hard light. Hard light's not bad. Yeah, we'll leave it on hard light. And you also have, a distance here. The distance right now is 0.1375. If we take that down, you notice that it's a little bit tighter to the thing itself. Okay, and we can adjust the angle a little bit as well. Take it down just a little bit more. That's all the way. That's pretty tight right there. That's pretty good. I'm going to take the opacity up a little bit as well. And let's see. As far as our size is concerned, spread. If you change that, what you've got is you got just it just makes it larger, and the size, of course, spreads it. Well, not spreads it, but sends it way out. And noise is it's a little bit much. Noise will make it a little more speckly. All right, so I kind of like that. I think that's working pretty well. It's making the word Sanibel, stand out a bit more. Um, let's move that up a little bit and over so the shadows aren't getting on there. And actually, let's move this out of the way, and we'll add the same effect to this. So let's go ahead and add that drop shadow. Let's see, that's a little bit big. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Hard light, opacity up to 90%. Trying to remember what I had my other stuff set on. It's about up in there somewhere. And size. Just playing around until it looks right. Okay. Actually, with this one, though, I think I'm going to take the offset down just a touch. Maybe that was too much. There. Okay. I think that looks a little bit better. Okay. Right, so there's my Sanibel Island graphic, which is the the focal point more or less. But then a bit more of an angle there, or double click on that and rotate this one part a bit more so it looks right. A little bit tighter there. There we go. All right, so there's my basic focal point graphic, which the bird is kind of pointing to, which I think works all right. Again, you can play around these things and move them around if you want, whatever. All right, now let's go ahead and let's put in some text. Okay, let's go ahead and put in some text. Okay, so text. Let's go ahead and we'll pop over here. This is the assignment page. Okay, see I have this. I got a highlight on this already. I already got the word Sanibel Island there. I'll have to put in the www.com there. But right now I'm just going to copy that. Okay, now back to InDesign. I'm just going to take a rectangle tool here and just draw out a box, and I'm just going to take my type tool and just type right into it. Now, the simplest thing to do in this point is just to go ahead and hit paste. And there's our rough text right there, or raw text, I should say. Okay. Now, here's the thing, though, with this. I can make a number of changes to this raw text just by using the paragraph menu. Remember, we're in typography here. So let's click on paragraph. There's also paragraph styles as well, but paragraph is what we want. Okay. And you'll notice that everything's pretty well set here at zeros. That's the default setting. One thing I'm going to do right from the get-go is I'm going to click on where it says ignore here. This is actually my my paragraph break. So I can set it at 0.1. You can see it puts a little space in between there. Set at 0.2. That actually breaks that up pretty well. Okay. And then another thing I think I want to do is put in some drop caps. Okay. And those are right here. So I'm going to click on 1, 2. Okay. So that now we've got drop caps set up. Okay, so that's fairly sharp. Okay, and I think that will work pretty well. I think the sizing is going to work all right. I can actually take my box and shore it up a little bit so I don't actually click on anything I don't want to. But one thing I'm going to do though is I need to put this in a box that is a little bit, is going to fade out the background stuff a little bit. So let's set that over to one side. And let's take a unclick that and let's make another box. Let's go right around there about like that. Okay, now this box, though, what we're going to do is we're going to apply some effects here, some features that will that'll make it kind of stand out. I don't want to click on the wrong thing by mistake, so I'm separating those right now. Now let's see. We had this kind of a thing going on here, which is the thick and the thin. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to want a paper, whoops, that's the fill. Undo that. Stroke. And that was thick, thin. Or was it thin, thick? Okay, let's see. Okay, no, we want the other one. So click on that. It's going to be thick, thin. So the thin's on the inside. And let's make that white, just like that. So it's basically the same thing as this. I think we need to go a little bit bigger though. Let's see. That looks about right. I'm just eyeballing it. Okay, and then what we want to do with a fill, while this is still selected, is we're gonna click on our paper here, but we're going to take the opacity down quite a bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. We got paper there. Okay, so we'll pick up here. Sorry, I had to pause for a second there. I had a little bit of an issue with my coffee. Okay, so back to this. Right, so what we need to do is we need to fade this out a bit, and also we're going to need to realign our stroke. So while this is still selected, let's go ahead and do that. Our stroke right now is aligned center. That's the default. Let's put it on the outside. There we go. Okay. And now what we need to do is take our white and we're going to tone that down a bit. There. That works. Okay. So let's put that at 0. I want to be able to see through it, but I still want to have that basic effect right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and make that a little bit brighter. Something like that. And then let's grab this guy and we'll put this right back here. And we're going to take this and we're going to arrange, bring to front. So it's good and readable. Okay. Oh, and yeah, let's make that just a little bit more. Something like that. Okay. I think that's working all right. Now let's grab both of these and we'll kind of, oops, didn't grab both of them. There, now we got both of them. I want to move these over just a little bit so it's more or less spaced out with a margin and centered underneath this thing. Okay, the last thing we need to do is we need to pop in a the .com, which let's see is right here, sanibel.com. So we'll copy that, and let's go ahead and just click and paste. That is as bland as can be. So let's go ahead and make that a little more interesting. First off, we'll make it. Let's see. Let's go with something readable, but something that's a little bit got a little bit of something to it. I don't want to go with this font again because that would be too much. I think it'd be hard to read. Yeah. So you want to have stuff be very readable. Well, actually, I'm going to move over here so I can see my fonts better. Okay, let's just go with just Arial. See what Arial bold looks like. That ought to do it. Let's just make it a little bit bigger. Not that big. Yeah, we're gonna resize our box here. That'll take care of it. SanibelIsland.com. Yeah, that might be a little too bland. Let's go ahead and let's make that. We'll make that white. And yeah, Arial might be a little too bland. Yeah, let's try out the some of the monotone one. Again, we've got that is not bad, but I'm not sure about the readability. Again, it's a little busy. It works all right for the one thing, but maybe not the other. Making my thing bigger so I can go ahead and click on this and make this go to 24. See what that looks like. Yeah, that's too hard to read. It's cool looking, but it's too hard to read. You know, so you gotta keep things readable. Arial's too boring. Mato's too crazy. Oh, I could just go with something very standard issue. Of course, you don't want to have too many. You don't have too many crazy fonts going on. The general rule is a limit of 2, but I'm not really counting the text font. Okay, because text is pretty much text. That it is what it is. Okay, so I'll go with something very basic. Let's try this one. Yeah, I kind of like that. Okay, now let's go ahead and I'm going to make this box a little bit smaller so I don't have to worry about it getting messed up or anything like that. Okay, so there you go. I think that's probably enough for today. So we've did some typing along a path. We've created some tinted boxes and things like that. Let's go ahead and do a save as, and we'll call this ad number 2. And call it good. Okay. I think that'll do it for now. Okay. I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with in the next few weeks. All right. I'll talk to you later.